Should be able to hear me now. I gotta go through my spiel again. Sorry. Hey guys, welcome to a very different episode of the stream. Not really gonna be doing like major content in RuneScape today. I think I'm actually gonna be teleporting to the Rogue's Den and cooking, if I'm being honest with you. But I've got some cool people here with me in voice chat. Friend was the first player to complete the Dragon Cup, and Costef was the 5th player to complete the Dragon Cup.
Greg, did you do the rerun?
And
you done?
So we're gonna have some discussion about that. I hope you guys enjoy today.
Randomizer with some friends right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we saw those, my buddies and I was like, that looks kind of fun, honestly.
It can be. I'm getting kind of screwed, but
yeah,
it's fun for a bit.
You're playing. I heard there was like a fun randomizer mode that like some guy made on the website, and you can like so like you just get like you get stuck with like conniving clues and your life is miserable after that or something.
Yeah, Herblore into Butler, Forger into Butler.
Forger into Butler into the farming relic.
Yeah.
Let's go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a clue enjoyer, whether I like it or not.
Oh man,
I definitely don't like it. This thing's ass.
Actually took Clue on my Cap account.
Really?
Yeah, I did a bit of a different solve with no Zaya because I just really did not want to do 100 CMs and all the other Zaya stuff. So I've got Desert, Ascarnia because ASD is winning, and Wilderness because just easy. And plan is Clue because you have to take Clue or else you can't get enough Masters. Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna have to do probably like 250 elites, but I figured Toa is hopefully better than Chambers, and then I'd rather, if I'm gonna have to go dry on something, I'd rather just like feet desk quick line do 1,000 corp than.
Bro, I got a level with you. I have Desert on my alt, and I took the axe, and
yeah,
TOA is actually pretty good with the axe. It's pretty fun, especially you can. Dude, I got prayer pen.
With me.
Bro, yeah, we should go after this. Yeah, sometime tonight, man. Let's go. But like, here,
tonight.
listen.
Okay, I'm done.
Listen to this, right? I got the axe because none of the cappers took axe, so I knew axe would be like best in slot.
Yeah.
And I have prayer penetration, so I could just like freaking melts, bro. It gets to the end phase, you just stand in the middle and chuck. Just keep throwing the axe. It's so funny.
If you want to take a little brainlet, my randomizer's got Zaya, or not Zaya, Desert.
Yeah, I got you, man. Let's pot later, man. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
But
I'll be on the day.
I want to drive us away from the fun percent because I think people want to hear about the Dragon Run. So
okay.
Let's go. I want to dive in a little bit. I think Costef had put like a little list of topics together, and so I'll just go through them in order, I think, and start from the top right. So like, we had PVM combat and pact tasks, which made like the routing very different this year compared to other years, and like how you needed to like sort of path through different PVM encounters in order to progress your character's power. And you had to kind of make interesting choices at like what point in your grind were you going to be willing to make these decisions. How do you want to move your character forward? So I want to talk to you guys especially because friend, you actually picked a very different region order than everybody else. You went with Wilderness first with combat in mind. And you got to encounter that MA2 bug, but I'm curious about how you. I'll start with Greg, I guess. What do you think about like why you chose to do combat earlier, and like what it unlocked for you, or what advantages you thought it provided in your run?
Yeah, so the idea behind Wilderness first was we wanted to get Air Mage online as soon as possible, and the best way to do that was through Slayer, and pairing Slayer with Thorns. We figured that out. A couple days before launch that Thorns in the wildy would just be crazy. You know, if you get a Jellies task, you know, something like that, neck reels even, you're just smoking them. Like, it's your best AoE option. You could get Shins, but, you know, Thorns are super dependable. Gives you XP. But then it ended up that the Wilderness had that Slayer bug, and, you know, we're just killing superiors nonstop, it was interesting. It helped, for sure, but we had our backup plan there. If that wasn't bugged, we'd still be, you know, Thornsing our jellies and stuff and having a good time. But, you know, that was the main reason for it. I would go Wilderness 100 times out of 100 in the future. So that was the motivation. Just get Air Mage online, have the Slayer to get your quadrant, stuff like that.
I think it makes sense to me, and I'll get into my reasoning last, but I want to talk to Costef and see if he had a similar thought, because I think Costef, you didn't go Wilderness first, did you? You went a different direction?
No, I did.
You both went Wilderness first, okay.
Yeah, so I think the quote was, I actually pitched this to Greg like a week maybe a week beforehand, and he was like, there was like a 5% chance that I was gonna go with this, and I managed to convince him that will be first was the play. And then what happened was that teaser video came out like 3 days ahead of time, and it like looked like it confirmed that Thorns gave XP, and we just really felt like everybody was missing that, because I did the math on it, and it ended up being like, I mean, 5 mil strength per hour, like with full addy and like no, nothing, right? Like 60 stats, which was just insane for how early. And I think why a lot of people wouldn't have even considered it is because we figured out that actually doing Slayer without the relic was what we were going to do, which is what we did. And to Greg's point, I think it worked out really well. I mean, the MA2 bug was kind of it caused an issue. We ended up going to Chaos Elemental because we needed the pact, and both Greg and I went super dry. He went even more dry than I did, super dry on the D2H. But it ended up working out reasonably well. And I want to say by the time that we were getting, or at least by the time I was getting second region, I was like almost 90 Slayer before the bug. I was rank 1 or close to rank 1 by like 2 mil XP. Like nobody else had done Slayer that early. And so I think the advantage would have played out if the bug didn't kind of narrow the gap, right? Because obviously everybody that got into Wilderness got infinite superiors, and so unfortunately that was kind of lost. But yeah, that was that was basically the plan. Was Thorns was really good, and we also figured that a lot of the early stuff was if you spec'd into melee first, you could do stuff like Colosseum. You could do Awakened Vard. You could do the 4 Jads with melee and finish all the Jad CAs when you respect. So there was a lot of advantages to doing kind of a melee build, and then you could delay your respec quite a bit until you had 16 or 17 packs, and that was the plan.
Honestly, it's really interesting to hear this POV because I think what you guys did is entirely correct, because you definitely had like more of a focus on the combat side. And now I kind of get to tell you guys, because you guys are probably wondering why the hell this Rod guy is rank 1 overall and like talking about it all the time. Why is he doing this, right? Like, what the hell is this guy thinking, right? So, I'm gonna be frank with you. I had like 3 major reasons, right? Number 1 is reality. I have my dog, and I have other clients' dogs that I had to take care of during the competition, and I basically knew that like I was going to have skilling available to me, and so it was like a primary focus for me to make sure my skilling stuff was online before those things became problems. Number 2 is that, unfortunately, because of the bug, this typically would normally apply to Tier 6, but like we reloaded EH in Tier 7, so in this gear, Tier 7 actually still did matter even with the bug. Your skilling does not get better after Tier 7. You are 16x multiplier, you have every skilling relic you're going to get, and generally speaking, combat does not improve your skilling outside of like getting additional supplies. And so at that point, you can do as much skilling as you want, because at some point the crows are going to come to roost, and you're going to have to do your deer diaries and train your fishing and so you can get the manta ray for the Arduino Elite. You're going to have to get 80 agility somehow, blah, 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 right? Like, so the way I looked at it is like, hey, Eternal Harvest makes a lot of this stuff 0 timeable and AFKable. Larcenist makes my thieving, smithing, crafting 0 timeable, AFKable at max efficiency, mind you. Mm-hmm. So if I rush Arduino Hard Diary, I can fully AFK for 25 minutes without looking, like on average, and sometimes up to 30 minutes without looking at my phone. And I certainly have enough time while I'm walking my dog and she's stopping and sniffing around to pause and open my remote desktop, open the coin pouch, and go again. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, like, I was like, hey, if I can maintain max efficiency gameplay in the long run, if I make some short-term sacrifices and don't do combat early. And then that leads into point number 3, which is you are actually at your strongest at Tier 8 once you get that combat relic online, and as you start rolling into your pacts and get Shadow Flame. Like, Shadow Flame was key and integral to everything, and one of the things I had doubts about privately before we started was, we were talking about this idea of training the 93 Slayer and taking rev tasks along the way, and I'm thinking to myself, why would I do that when I could just come back later and fucking blow them up with a Shadow Flame? Excuse my French. Maybe I'll edit that out. But put a little beep over it or something. But the Shadow Flame quadrant was so insane that I saw no reason to do any of these single target DPS grinds where it was best in slot before I had it. And so I'd personally planned to skip Revenants and put off combat as long as possible because A, the skilling led into AFK, which was good for me, and B, delaying combat was beneficial. So that was my point of view. I wonder what you guys think of that, though.
I mean, I would say I think we kind of did that. I
Yeah, we did.
know Greg tried a rev task early, and the DPS was really bad, and I think it was obvious that it was like, okay, well, it's not worth doing this right now. But the counterpoint that I would say to that is, I actually think the fastest way to T7 was through combat, and so like I'm not saying that I'm disagreeing with you. I think the whole point was like get to tier 7 as fast as possible. Although, as an aside point, there was the bug about the XP multiplier, right? Which again kind of was to our detriment doing combat first, right? Because normally you'd be doing a lot of gameplay at tier 6 with 12x. If we had known that we were going to get 16x at 6 at tier 6, I don't think I would have gone wilderness first, right? I think I would have done what you did, Rod. But nobody knew that. That ultimately was a bug, and so we were expecting to have to do. Everybody. I was expecting to have to grind Slayer at 12x on tier 6. Right?
I had the same expectation as well, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think where we differed is that I wasn't willing to do Slayer before tier 6, and I was gambling on and predicting that I would unlock my second region either shortly after or like right before reaching tier 6. And I wanted to do all of my Slayer with Culling Spree, like except for the first 48 to get Moxie for the point early on. I wanted everything post 48 on Culling Spree, and obviously the bug definitely had an advantage there, right? We all I think all of us had, except for Mazhar, who like was noble and heroic and ate the L for the team. Probably would have beat me honestly if he like just off the back of using the bug alone. Probably would have beat me off the virtue of that, but nevertheless. We all got to use it, and it was a significant advantage for everybody involved. Like, I think taking Wilderness second was, like, a benefit in the sense that, like, I didn't feel like touching Slayer before tier 6. But did you guys do that? Did you really plan to do Slayer before Culling Spree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's definitely, like, a divergence
way.
from, like, in thinking between the two parties, and I'm curious what you, like... Hearing my point of view, would you agree that maybe delaying till Culling Spree was the right move, or do you still think that what you were doing was correct, but the bug was what held you back?
Well, for me, I ended up getting points so fast with
Yep.
Thorns and the Wildy that I was like, maybe I should wait.
Right.
I know, Costef, you sent a lot more Slayer than I did. You were about like 90 Slayer. I was like 60, and I realized I'm getting way too many points. Might as well hold off a little bit. So I didn't really go like through with the Slayer before Culling Spree thing. I was planning to, then kind of diverged once I saw how fast it was going.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at I was planning on going Kandarin second, and I looked at the Kandarin packs, and like, well, I think it was like 4 of them were like pretty much completely free once you had the Slayer level. It was like kill 50 Kraken, get a Trident, a Cult, and maybe there was one other one that was Slayer gated. And so my idea was, by the time I get Kandarin, I want to have the level to just get all these packs. So I think I would probably summarize, like, Greg, our plan was very pact centric on what we were doing, and because we kind of figured out that like there was a bit of a brick wall around like 11 to 12 packs where it started to get like, if you only had one region, it started to get a little dicey on like which ones you could go, and you weren't very strong, and you had to kind of like figure out if you were going to respec or whatever. And the route that we figured that Wilby had the easiest packs by far, and you were actually able to, if you could also do Kalo and Awakened Vard, which I did, you were able to get to like 16 or 17, and you had this massive power spike where you actually could like really start to see significant DPS. You could get Echo Boots for Vard and like have it with Thorns, and it was just crazy. So that was, the idea was very pack centric. I genuinely think it was the right play. I think that really all of these bugs kind of compounded to sort of erase what should have been more of an advantage of doing combat first. The other thing I would say is the Thamarons was meta DPS for everything in the Wildy. So getting the Thamarons early, you actually could go efficiently clear all of your Wildy. Maybe we should double check. I'm pretty sure it was better than the Quadrant in the Wildy. Maybe you needed a crystal, but it didn't make a huge. Well, I'm just saying. I think that the. Oh, because did you go dry on the Thams? Is it? I think you.
Your mic changed back to the webcam.
Oh shit! Did it really? Oh, man, what is happening? 1 sec. Sorry. Is that okay? It says in there switched. I might have to restart my OBS. I don't know what's going on with this. Hang on, man. There it is. Okay, it should be picking up my regular mic now. Is that better, guys?
Yeah.
Got the stream here. Any chatters? Any chatters confirm? Okay, chatters saying yes. Excellent. Back on. So, Thameron's incident. I'm doing revs. I'm sitting there. I get a Thameron scepter drop. I'm like, hooray, excellent. I'm too tired to notice that my inventory is full. My looting bag is full. My ground items were off from a previous PVM grind I did that was instance that had a shit ton of drops. So, I don't notice that this Thameron's is sitting there on the floor, and it despawned, and I go to the bank to equip it, and my jaw dropped. Like, I actually wasted 5 minutes, teleported back on stream, hoping that it was still on the floor. Obviously, it was freaking gone, bro.
Oh, no.
And nobody noticed until I got to the bank. It was like, oh shit, my inventory was full. Because the ground items were off. We would have guessed, right? If my ground items were open and I saw fucking orange text Thamerons on the floor, obviously I'm going to go pick it up and drop something. But, like, yeah, bro, because of, the task for getting all Revenant items triggered on collection logs. So I still got 400 points for that. But I lost not only 400 points from Thamerons and the Skull upgrade, I then didn't have Thamerons or DPS. I did all my Vedion and Calvarion Casey with a whip, bro. It was rough. I mean, it wasn't, like, terrible, but that set me pretty far back. I want to pivot back to you so you can tell me how good Thameron's DPS was and how bad I shot myself in the foot with this mistake. But yeah, I'm surprised you didn't hear about this. This was the Thameron's incident, bro. It hurt. It stung bad. I'll have to defer back to you, man.
I remember this one for sure. You're not going to forget about the one for a while.
Yeah, I was just so, like, locked in. I didn't watch any streams or, like, I think I remember popping into Maz's stream, like, 16 hours in, but I was just, like, dialed in the first day.
My Thameron incident was just not getting Thamerons, so that was great.
Yeah, you went like 2200 dry or something crazy.
2300.
That is insane, mess. Good morning, by the way. Welcome.
Go.
So you were Costef, you were saying that Thameron's was like super high DPS at like all of the will DPS. So your goal essentially was to like do revs early and get Thameron's online so you could farm points from like Vedion and stuff like that. Is that what you're saying?
So I mean, my thought process was when you're doing anything that's for drops, right? You're at your max efficiency from a RNG standpoint at 5x, which was at tier 4, right? Obviously DPS, matters, but there's kind of a point when your DPS, like, I don't really know that it matters that much if you kill Callisto in 27 seconds or 24 seconds, right? It starts to get dominated by the respawn, and you're so close and it's so fast already that I was kind of the opinion that it made more sense to actually do, because the Wilby PVM was so fast so early with the Thamerons, that it made sense to do that kind of early. And then you would just passively get all of the tiers for all the other relics. And so I kind of inverted the whole plan and basically didn't do any skilling. I didn't do any of the fudging stuff for a while, because I just felt that the packs was what was going to be the fastest way to getting your kind of your power level online. And almost like the relics would be sort of secondary, because harvest wasn't useful until you were ready to like sleep or AFK. And then what ended up really mattering was, it would have been the 16x at tier 7, right? But the 16x doesn't really matter if you're not doing any skilling training. And so the idea was, well, push out the skilling as long as you can, do all of your skilling on 16x, do your combat for your points early, particularly, abuse Thams in the Wilby. And by that point, we'd have had, 20 pack points and be, ready to go. But didn't work out like that because of, the various XP bugs.
Yeah, well, I think bugs are definitely on that list of topics that we can segue into. I want to. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, so we talked a little bit here about PVM versus early progression and region order unlock. So, like, essentially, your region unlock order was driven by your desire to do combat early and to get early points out of the wilderness. And it sounds like you guys also had approaches to like Colosseum and Vardorvis and things like this. Whereas, like, I sort of diverged and took a different path of like, I wanted to skill, I wanted to get my AFK stuff online, I wanted to, get maximum power online before I started taking on my PVM and things like this. So that was
one other point, Rod, that I forgot that was very integral. So a respec was hard to come by initially. Obviously, for anyone listening to this now, they changed a lot of the things. But on release, the only respecs were available was your first region or Echo Mox. And before they changed the stats, Echo Mox was like basically only killable with melee on the first day. I think it was awful to farm the regular boss without melee. And so the other part of our plan was 75 plus 10 for the whip, and the whip was actually really good DPS on Mox. It was like 15 or 16 DPS. So that was like 30-second kills. And so the idea was melee was also the best way to secure your respec initially. So that was what factored into early Slayer as well. We figured that having that respec available early was going to be really important.
75 plus 10 whip is really smart. That didn't even occur to me.
I'll say I did normal Mox with the crossbow build, and it was perfectly fine. It was chiller. I think I got the speed run time with that too.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had that experience, Matt, because I know you were on crossbow build. I know
it was easy. It was easy to help.
Yeah, and they nerfed they nerfed the defense too, which is kind of funny. But I think like with the crossbow build, like you just had enough accuracy that it didn't matter. Like even pre-nerf, like obviously people on like thrown weapons or bows were definitely going to struggle, but like the crossbow seemed like it was accurate enough. I think looking at the DPS calcs when we were originally talking about it.
Honestly, Rod, I saw you talk about this earlier, the Discord about going Thorns first. I tried both. I tried it on Teleblock. I actually think I'm not even sure that I don't think Thorns is better even. I think crossbow might still be better. I ran both. So I think the 3 points in Thorns is good, and I did that later on. So what I did was I did crossbow into 3 points in Thorn, the 3 damage Thorn thing, and I like that. Doing it again, I'd probably do 3 points in Thorns and then go crossbow.
Yeah, the Thorns was just super duper strong early. Like we weren't even thinking about it giving experience until we saw like the video the day before the release of leagues. Like Sardaka was like running around in full Justy and a Dins and getting experience in the Coliseum without attacking anything, and that like blew my mind.
Did you guys note that it gave XP and like think about like as soon as we saw it gave melee XP, I was like, wait, hold on, that is going to be like 6 mil melee XP per hour.
I started frothing at the mouth at the thought of going to Monkey Madness 2 Tunnel. I spammed like 15 caps lock messages to Port and Oscar, like, bro, you have to watch this video. You have to watch this video.
So you guys didn't know.
Yeah, we were on Thorns. Like we caught on to Thorns because like we were having the same problem as you. Where, like, I wasn't sure, I was having doubts about the range, the speed of the range build, and how we were, like, I was having a lot of doubts about using a Rune Spear KP for the Night Waves. Like, that was, like, driving me up the wall. And so, we were looking into melee spec early, because we had this one floating respec that Mass and I hadn't, like, actually figured out anything to do with. And so, like, I started talking with, like, Port and Oscar about, like, what can we do with this early? Like, is there any reason to, like, go melee early? Like, are we underrating this stuff? And then we really started digging into Thorns. And again, this was like a couple of days before we saw that video with the EXP drops. But like, we figured out you could do like 10, 15 damage with the Thorns, and that would like wipe out most of the fight caves for you while you just kind of poked the mages with the Abi Dagger, and they kill themselves too. Thorns just seemed insane for the early game as far as DPS output goes. And then you got the EXP video, and we were so locked in after that.
Yeah.
I did a Mox incredibly early compared to you guys. I think I might have been one of like the first 2 or 3 players to kill it, because when I looked at the high scores, I was like one of the only people that was ranked on it. I got my orb fairly early. It was like 20 KC as well, so I wasn't very high up. But like Thorns like hard carried me through that fight, because I was there with like an Abi Dagger, bro. I definitely wasn't doing like major DPS, but like the Thorns did a lot of the work, and then like the 2-tick mechanic was super cool, and you were hitting a lot with that. So I ended up doing that super early because I wanted the pack point more so than I wanted the reset. I wanted the pack point at that point. Because I was staying on the Thorns build for a while, and then I had planned to respec in the Wilderness, but then obviously the Superior bug happened, and I ended up netting a free reset after that because of that.
The other thing with Thorns was when you went Wilby first, so if you went Kandrin first, right, there was no, you couldn't do, the Echo was 93 players, so it was, you know, basically not feasible for a while. Echo KBD was actually like piss free. It was, I was getting like 20-second KBD kills with Thorns, like not even hitting the boss, just like eating food. Like as soon as you got Wilderness, right? So that was another reason that, you know, we kind of thought Thorns was that you could get that Echo kill, and also that respec was open. So Thorns was just, I mean, all the stuff in the Wilby has such low HP, and almost everything hits you on 4-tick. I think the Chaos Elemental hit even faster than that, actually. So Thorns just it
Fanatic
ended
was
up
like
working out.
Z-tick, I think, yeah. But
Yeah,
I think like and then Archaeologist was like 3-tick or something
yeah.
like that.
I mean, it worked. It worked out. Really, the biggest thing was just you had to tele back to get food. Like that was the kind of the most annoying thing, just buying the Krombarns from whatever. But I think in hindsight, honestly, I would say that it worked out like pretty much exactly like we had planned. It was just that we had to pivot after there was the Slayer bug, and then there was the XP bug that brought skilling forward after tier 6. But I think that I would do Thorns and will be first again if I was gonna do another rush like that. I think it worked out exactly how I thought it was going to. The MA2 was just very unfortunate though, because we basically lost one of the 2 pack points that we should have been able to get right away.
Did you, Mazhar, you said you ended up did you go into Thorns later on in your run?
Yeah. So what I did on my account was I did Thorns. Sorry. I did a crossbow into chins, and then my goal was as soon as I hit the 3rd region, I did Thorns. So I got the 3 damage Thorn thing. I finished off. I did the Thorn thing, and then before I didn't hit wave training grounds, I got my melee up through Thorns, and then I took it on. I expected Thorns to work in the training grounds. It didn't, which is why it took so fucking long.
Yeah.
But if it had, it would have been chiller. Like
Why didn't it work?
I don't know.
Dude, this is like classic Jagex. Like melee damage somehow doesn't work in the night waves, and it was bugged in Thorns.
That's the only hiccup, honestly. Because my logic is I'm not meleeing anything. I don't need melee for anything. And I didn't need, like, my logic is it's great XP per hour, great, but I'm already 16x so early on, it doesn't matter. I knew I was going to get my 99 attack strength defense passively later on from Inferno if I'm using Thorns later. So I was like, I didn't have any regret there. The only regret was, like, I should have done the fight caves with the Thorns and then had a little weaker range, but that was the difference to, like, 5 minutes. Like, that's all the difference that made.
The other thing, which was kind of small, which was part of the plan, was that if you going melee first with Thorns, you could do, first of all, the fight caves. I think I got GM time with my 75 stat fight cave with Thorns. It was that good. But I fully spec'd into Thorns off the beginning. So it was like a 25-minute fire cave. But after that, it was Jads, right? So triple Jads was actually not too bad with melee, with Thorns. But I was actually also able to do the 4 Jads, which pulled forward being able to do all of the Jad CAs, which was a 400-pointer. So that was part of the plan too, was that most people were not going to be able to get those 400 because they would have had to, you have to respec because there's one that's like the multi-style, and then one of them is like do all 4 with melee. So what I ended up doing was sticking with melee until I did like Awakened Vard, Coliseum, and the 4 Jad challenge, and then respecking, and then I was able to pick up all those points right away. So there was kind of some minor like optimizations that played into the melee build too.
So you did those things.
I don't think I did.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think I did any PVM at all outside of packs, the actual tasks, and Slayer. Like I don't think I did a bit of like PVM otherwise. Like it was just chinning. So that's why I don't really regret it.
It sounds like you treated melee as like, oh, I don't really need this. I'll do it another time. We treated range the same way.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna
what we did for range is we quested up to like 74 and just chinned to 99 and never touched it at that point. So
it's kind of interesting because I know Greg. I think I heard through the grapevine that you had planned to completely skip training ranged altogether and do it through the final dawn. I just posted a screenshot in the Rodcast channel, and I wanted to direct your attention to that. I think I have it up onto stream as well for those who are watching here. But this was me at tier 6 in the Monkey Madness 2 tunnels doing my range training. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. My strategy was I got 45 ranged at cows getting my hides to do all of like the de-hide tasks. I just bought knives and was like just transmuting and throwing knives. I know like maybe it takes 5 minutes longer or whatever than versus like punching them, but like to me, like I was doing Final Dawn super late in my route, and there was no way I was gonna wait that long to train my range level if my plan was to chin Slayer before, etc. So like, obviously at this point in this screenshot, I had realized that the experience multiplier was bugged at tier 6, and I was already planning to go and train for Slayer even with the multiplier being broken. But what this allowed me to do with the Thorns, I didn't even have a chins build at this point. I was entirely Thorns, and I think like. I don't even remember what other packs I had at this point. I'd have to really go back and look. But I was pretty much just like all in on Thorns and just throwing natty chins and getting like 10 mil ranged an hour. I caught 50 gray chins when in Kandarin, by the way, because I was 45 range. I caught like 30 Great Chins or some shit for like 2
That's
minutes.
disgusting.
And I threw them here, and then threw the reds, and I didn't even like look at I have 439 chins in this screenshot. Not even close to running out, bro. I'm not even remotely close. The regen, so like, but look at my EXP. I was uncontrolled for a long time. I was gaining like 7 mil combat an hour. So I stayed down here for like almost an hour and a half. I got a ton of points from like the combat level tasks. I got a ton of points from getting like. And then, like, I was able to go and train Slayer piss free, and I was able to melee it because my melee stats were high from just spending an hour down here. So I don't know. I assume that you guys. I'm going to ask you the question I have. I'm going to throw it back to you. But my question to you is, you guys still chinned MM2, right? Like, you still trained your range there.
Yeah, but it took. We did Final Dawn straight to like 74 or whatever, and then chinning 99 was like less than an hour.
Yeah.
Bro, for me, I did it completely different. I put too much emphasis on the Thamarans being needed for Thermi, and I pretty much did. I think I did 800 revs before with the fucking crossbow, which is probably what killed a lot of it because I didn't expect to go that dry on the Thermi scepter until it was until someone in the chat was like, "Hey, I'm just killing Thermi with wind and it's taking 2 minutes." I was like, "You know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna not do any more revs." Until I get Thermi staff. But I got 50 mil range. I got 42 mil range by the time I was 93 Slayer.
Really?
Yeah, I had 42 mil range XP. And then I just went.
The Sunlight crossbow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I killed that many revs. I went to Monkey Manus 2 tunnels and I was getting 27 mil XP an hour and I just finished off 50 mil.
I guess what I'm confused about is like we basically did the same thing except we were getting Slayer XP when we were doing it, and like obviously in hindsight it didn't matter because of the bug, but like I thought that was very high value. Especially the other thing that probably wasn't really a factor with how fast everybody was going, but we were a little concerned about crowding in the wildy with the caves, and so the thought process was, well, if you're at 80 Slayer, you're getting the better tasks. And you're not competing with people for jellies. And it did get crowded, but probably not for like, I don't know, probably not till the second day. But that was the other part of thinking of going wildy first, is we would have avoided all of the potential crowding.
There was no one there when I got there. And I picked the second, so.
It was like maybe like 5 or 10% of our concern was in that. Yeah. So it wasn't like a selling point, but like just something to think about. It didn't really matter in the end.
Well, interesting is so Greg, you went Tune second, right?
Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind that? Because I was very tonal. I think we all were really on the staff. The Kandarin Echo was just so strong. But I don't even really remember what I did. I think I chose not to do. I think Maz, you did the same. I was thinking back to the clue bug in Leagues 4, where a lot of people got like reset and had their uniques reset. And I think I might have been the one who reported the bug, or one of the first people who reported the bug. I ended up doing like, I think maybe 20 jellies with the bug. And then I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm worried about getting, my XP reset and stuff. Cause it seemed like it was so strong that they might actually do that. In hindsight, I should have just been like, you know what, you still had to do Slayer. So it was kind of like, it was really frustrating because I wanted to do Slayer because that was part of the whole plan. But I ended up specifically only killing the number of superiors that I statistically would have gotten for the task, which, in hindsight could have just done the bug, but we didn't know that at the time. So I purposefully didn't do it, didn't abuse it, but I still ended up getting, 93. I feel like the mistake that I made was tunneling on revs a little too much, the same you did, Maz, with the Thams, and like I should have just gone straight for the gotten 93 and then gotten the quadrant. But I'm curious, Greg, why you went Tyrion went second, because I was just like all in on the Kandarin Echo once I had the Slayer level.
Yeah, so at the time we had I think 21 pack points from just the wildy alone.
Yeah.
And at that point I've juiced up my prayer. So I was looking at the pack points for Tiranwen, and 6 out of the 7 of them are just, I walk up to Tiranwen, I go there for like an hour, I complete a pack point. Get a dark bow, get an enhanced weapon seed. I mean, I got lucky on there, obviously, but everything that we did in the wildy just set me up to do Tiranwen in just a second. Yeah. And I spec'd into like the 1-tick staff, the prayer penetration, all that, and I just nuked Tiranwen in like a couple hours, and then I unlocked like a Kandarin like super fast.
Yeah, I think that was actually a huge time save that Greg did. In hindsight, I would have done that second. Because there's also a lot of easy points with the thieving, like right around the time when we were at the like, probably 14, 16 hour mark, where you like needed to eat and kind of like take a break to figure out what you're gonna do next. And I think the thieving would have been really good to have for that too.
Absolutely.
So that's interesting for me because like my whole strategy was like, I think Kandarin is such a super strong region early. Like my plan was like, all right, I'm gonna use MM2 tunnel for some quick levels and points. Get my combat up. I'm gonna go do the night waves. Unlock Piety for quick 200 points, and that's when I encountered the bug where, see, you lost a pack point. I lost 280 points finding out that Piety was not playable until they patched it. So I ran into my own share of stupid stuff in my route that was very detrimental early because I had trained my prayer and fully expected Piety to be available to me. So that was definitely a big roadblock.
It just makes me wonder, like, did anyone play this at all beforehand? Like, how could you not realize that, like, doing the MA2 was disconnecting you?
I have an 8-minute video talking about this, and Husky said that I was frustrated and that he didn't necessarily agree with all of my points. I'm just saying, man. You got to test your shit.
I don't think they played it beforehand. I don't know how you don't notice that kind of stuff.
I legit think that all of the resources from Jagex were tied up in sailing, and they just didn't test this at all. And it's disappointing to see because, like, sure, it wasn't like completely unplayable, but there were like obvious blocker/critical level bugs that made it into a production environment that like any level of basic testing by anyone fucking eating crayons would have noticed. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? I don't want to rehash my 8-minute rant that's already out there on YouTube, but like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?
If you're telling me nobody that played or tested it noticed that you were getting 16x XP at...
Yeah, how did no one notice that? Like,
that never happened. That's never happened.
Did they just potato themselves to max gear in tier 8 and run around the game and call it, hey, this works, happy Thursday? Like, nobody went to the Abyss? Nobody went to try Night Waves? Like, nobody unlocked Kandarin and noticed that the quests weren't done? Like, what? How does that happen? I'm sorry, like, I get that, like, little things like clue scrolls get by, but the big things like that are, like, inexcusable in my opinion. Like, come on, man, like, do a little testing. Like, have a player come in, put them on an NDA, who cares, man? Like, come on, like, you already have people under NDA making relics, why don't you have them fucking playtest the league too, man? Come on. Anyway, I digress. I want to keep us on topic. Not turn this into a rant, so... but yeah, so, coming back to Kandarin first, right? I went Kandarin Wilderness for the same reason that you guys kind of did, but, like I was telling you before, a lot of my gameplay hinged around, I'm not doing Slayer until tier 6, and my expectation was that right now in my head, I was like, we're going to unlock Karamja sometime between tier 3 and 4, we're going to unlock our first region between 4 and 5, the second region around 6, by the time you're tier 6, you'll have the second region, or you'll be very dang close to tier 6. And then the last one will come around tier 7.
The task count, like, pretty ahead of time. Did it not give you guys pause at all? Like, when we saw that was, I think, 350 for the second area unlocked?
No, I mean, I had a feeling that I would, over time, do enough. Like, I thought that would give enough basic tasks in Varlamore to keep people moving. And like I said, I projected Area 1, Tier 5, Area 2, Tier 6, Area 3, Tier 7. Just looking at the list and what I generally expected to do when it came out 2 hours, like when I was looking at it about 2 hours before the release, right?
Yeah.
So my thought process was, if Wilderness is my, like, obviously, like, Kandarin first sounds stupid because I can't do Thermi first, but, like, if you think about it, I'm doing Kandarin because the early game there is actually really strong, and MM2 Tunnel is really strong, skilling is really strong through the questing, little things like I did Fight Arena, and I got a bunch of tasks for, like, equipping weapons, like, immediately, right? Like,
fletching was huge.
Fletching was pretty big. Yeah, fletching was an insane amount of tasks and training and things like this for, like, the Veil Totems and whatnot. Hunter was an insane amount of tasks, and so to keep snowballing this, I'll hand it back to you in a second here, but all of this kind of played into my mind. Like, Kandarin is going to be the quickest way to unlock my second region because I'll have so many tasks available to me that are doable here, even if the higher end is locked behind Slayer and things like this, that the most of the lower end is completely achievable if you pick it first region. And that would snowball me into the Wilderness and to tier 6. So I'm going to the Wilderness with the Slayer Relic unlocked, spamming out my Slayer to 93, and then immediately turning around to farm the Thermi weapon and use that for the rest of the game. And then essentially that was sort of like my overarching plan. But obviously, like I said, I think I put a bigger emphasis on skilling first because those points had to get done regardless, and it was beneficial to me to AFK with it. But I'll toss it back to you.
think the biggest, I guess if I could kind of summarize why we ended up going Wildy first, is if you think about all the tasks in an aggregate, right? I mean, you're limited by like the levels that you have, and you kind of want to focus on like what your relics help with early. And I just felt that going Kandarin first and really doing a skilling angle, you were completely foregoing combat for the most part, like early on, and like, I don't know, 30 to 40% of all the points that are available are based on combat. And so that felt like, if by going Wildy first, we didn't even really have to think about getting the second region. It was just, because combat and, skilling for specifically for like Hunter and, some of the things that were impacted by the relics that we took, thieving, you had enough, you had more, there was more than enough stuff to do that I don't even remember thinking about like going out of my way to do tasks to get the second area. It just happened like doing everything I wanted to do for combat. And so I felt that doing combat first opened up more and was going to net a faster progress, even though it seems crazy to want to do Slayer before the Relic. The other thing is, I think the biggest benefit to Slayer was the passive with the points, because like you only had to do one task to get like 2.5 skips. I think it was like it ended up
it's 2.5.
Factor in
That's
the tens. It was like three tasks per 3 skips per task you do. And so I didn't even really feel like Culling Spree was that relevant early on, because we were just trying to get AoE tasks initially to get strong as fast as possible and just to get the Slayer XP. And like almost every task was AoE in the Wildy. So it didn't really end up mattering. We had plenty of points to skip to get, to not have to do bad tasks.
Yeah, I think, and that was like the same position I was, where like, hey, I wanted to start Slayer at 6 so I would get into Culling Spree and not get into a position where I was getting soft locked into doing garbage tasks. Being able to pick 5 quantity was such a massive buff. And, I know people were dumping on the Slayer relic when it first came out, but like I took a data digest and I'm like, look, they're never going to give us the most overpowered relic on Earth where you're permanently on task on everything in the game forever. Like, that's just insane. And like, I looked at this, I'm like, you can generally have, like, obviously, like, the motion of going through canceling and re-getting your tasks is kind of like an annoying gameplay loop, but you weren't going to be hard stuck doing garbage tasks. Like, you were going to get very easy skippable stuff that you could tele straight to with the map, claim some more points, keep cycling through. For the most part, you were doing stuff on task you wanted to be doing outside of like the to-rail skipping, let's call it, right? And for me, like, doing that from tier 6 onward was just insane. So like that was why I expected to open Wilderness second and do it that way. But I think that, it's really interesting hearing your guys' point of view now and where we diverged, because I don't think anything you did necessarily was wrong. Like in this, like I don't think what I did was wrong either. Like I think both of our paths were correct in their own way, because if you think about it, right, like you did get to tier 6 pretty quickly. You did get to the Trident pretty quick. Do you guys recall how quick? I know, Friend, you were pretty high up on tier 8. But Costef, do you remember what position you were reaching tier 8?
No, I could go back through some screenshots that I had, but I really think that it would have been more evident if there weren't the Slayer bug. I think that you guys, I mean, how long do you guys think it? Let's say that I was 90 Slayer by the time you guys were getting, basically what, 60 in the first region. How long do you think that 60 to 90 Slayer, even with Culling Spree, would have taken? I mean, like, I'd say probably at least 3-4.
Hour and a half, 2 hours?
An hour and a half.
Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking about, like, obviously, like, to-rail skipping will impact this, but, like, main game, like, I was thinking, like, hardcore Iron Man rates that I maintained doing to-rail skipping with, like, a good list and setup and stuff was, like, like 40, 50K an hour or something like that. And, like, with better task selection, like, that would go up greatly. Like, a lot of the loss of time and experience per hour from that setup comes from the fact that you're to-rail skipping until you hit a bursting or chinning task, for example. But in leagues, we have the advantage of A, you have a butt ton of points that you don't care about and can just yeet for skips, and B, you have a selection between 3 tasks. So you were looking at max quantity barraging tasks a lot more often than the main game. So your main game rates would probably be comparable to like 80K an hour as opposed to 40K an hour in the league setup with Culling Spree. And so, and if you multiply that by 16x, right, 80K times 16x is going to give you 1.3 mil Slayer XP an hour, like, call it 3, someone call it 3 hours if you want to get to like 87, for example. and like maybe
Yeah,
4 hours to get to
like,
93.
that's significant, right?
But
I mean,
like
that's
again,
my
but this
argument.
is also assuming main game superior rate. So I'm not even factoring in the fact that like bug aside, you were going to get a lot more experience from faster superior rates and the fact that they respawn themselves. So like I had predicted that getting 93 Slayer was somewhere in the ballpark of like 2.5 to 3 hours from unlocking tier 6. That was my prediction, and I'd have to go back through screenshots, but I was pretty close to correct, I think. If I go and I look at
There's just no way to tell because of the bug. I would have put it probably between 3 to 4 hours as a difference, and I just think that would have been material going to Kandrin and basically already having the level because you would have passively like been able to just do the Gorillas tasks and the Trident tasks and get the pack points and just get 93 by the time you're so. It doesn't matter in hindsight. I think that it was probably pretty close looking at both strategies, but I do think it's interesting that for all of us finishing in the top 5, we had pretty much completely different day one strategies, like combat versus not combat.
yeah, like
I do want to say I think Chins would have worked out better if the bug did not exist, and I feel like they're the only one that went the Chin relic. So. Oh well.
I mean, I respect you for being noble, but you should, as the slogan goes, abuse early, abuse often, right?
I mean, I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to risk anything being like Mazhar is like literally my childhood account. I don't break any rules on it, and I'm not gonna. If this is a bug, I'm not doing it.
No, I respect your position, and I agree with it. I was just like of the opposite opinion of like, hey, if Jagex launches me, thanks for letting me play for many years, but moving on, bye. So. Yeah, that's a little cheap on my end, to be fair. To be fair to you, Mazhar, I do agree with you. Like, I mean, we all had planned on that as our. I think everybody in here planned on respecking into Chins as the original strategy before the bug surfaced, right? Like, let's to be clear, right?
I skipped the Necreal task to not abuse the bug that much because I felt like I
watched
did like
that.
half a one.
I remember you doing that. I remember you doing that and then saying on my stream, I'm like, Maz is an idiot. He should have done it.
and then I didn't go back to finish 93 Slayer until the bug was confirmed fixed.
I respect that, man. I really do respect you for doing that. I genuinely think you would have beaten me had you used the bug. Because like I'm looking at my screenshots right now, and I'm going to my levels folder real quick. I'm gonna scroll down to Slayer just for the hell of it. I want to see how long it actually took me in practice with this bug. So I'll share with the class here. Full right screen monitor. All right, what do we got? Where's Slayer? How do you spell Slayer? It's got an L in it, right? L for fucking I'm a loser. All right, let's see. I started Slayer, and I remember I got a Jellies task, and I messaged Oscar TY for raid. So because I had gotten a hint from him that Slayer was not quite working as expected, and that I should go check it out ASAP. And I said, okay, this is at 1:10 in the morning, and it looks like about an hour and a half later I was 93 Slayer. Still didn't have a whip yet. Yeah, I mean, and then I actually continued at the Abyssal Demons because I went dry on the Eternal Gem. So I actually got 98 Slayer in what looks like about under 2 hours from level 70. Like, Jagex, you really screwed this up, and I feel like an asshole for doing this. Like, I really do. And Oscar stopped at 93. To his credit, he stopped at 93, bro. I'm not throwing Oscar under the bus here or nothing. I mean, Oscar, all of us have admitted to abusing it outside of Mazhar. I think everybody kind of already has owned up to that. But I definitely took it to the next level because I wanted that Eternal Gem for farming and for other reasons. It was less so to actually train my Slayer. Like, I only planned to go to 93 originally. And, I'd only planned to go to 93 originally, but I went dry on the Eternal Gem. I ended up getting like 3 imbued hearts or something stupid before I got the gem. So that's why I went so high. So I apologize for really pushing the limits here. But I did indeed get an insane amount of Slayer EXP in a very short time. And as I finished my Inferno CAs, that helped me hit 35 mil Slayer for an extra 200 points. So like it benefited me greatly. I don't know how hard you guys went on it. And again, my intention wasn't to go that hard, but I needed that fucking Eternal
I didn't even
gem.
get the Dagon High set, bro.
Oh no, bro, dude, that's cursed. I mean, I didn't even open all my Laren's keys, bro. I stopped once I opened all the Dagon High pieces. I was like, I'm good here. I don't need anything else.
I had 5 tops and 4 bottoms and 0 hats, even with the fucking, without the thing.
Yeah, Oscar didn't even get the 100.
Screwed? Like, I'm curious about RNG. Rod, I'm gonna have to go, by the way, in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about like RNG overall. It sounds like Maz had a rough time on the.
I had the world run Vardorvis. I had the best Vardorvis luck in the game, right? When it didn't matter, but everything else was cooked.
Yeah, I think Maz went to pity limit on a lot of the Echo stuff. I think he went like 2x on, at least 2x on enhanced, right? You went to 180, you said, or something?
Yeah, when I think it was 187 or something.
Yeah, it was like high 180s enhanced. It was 2200 revs to get all of the weapons. It was he didn't use the Slayer, but like I think Maz probably would have cleared me and may have had a chance to clear Oscar had he used the Slayer bug and had he known about Thorns. I think those two things alone would have like pushed him over that. Like,
I don't think that Thorns thing. Like I did use Thorns.
I don't think the
just
Thorns thing
didn't
would have
use it
mattered
early.
that much, but I think the Slayer bug thing was like a definite like deciding factor. Like obviously I've used it pretty freaking hard.
I don't think. I think bro, my main issue was the fucking PVM. I don't think you understand how. If you watched my POV back, you'd be like, how the fuck did this guy only beat me? Like, how the fuck was this guy only 2 hours behind me?
Yeah,
Like,
no, Maz, I watched. I was
214 times.
some viewers told me to tune in and I watched, and bro, you were like dying to Wave 5 Doom and dying to like random shit in Coliseum. You were falling over to Herod. I was like, this guy is eating crayons right now. I was like, man, he doesn't remember feet legs. He doesn't remember any of the lessons, man.
If Warlamore did not exist, bro, it would have been a lot different.
I think so, but you know, for the future, like, hey, if you're stuck in this place, log into the main game like a week or two before and de-rest a little bit, and it'll be a lot easier
I'm going to
for
practice, but I also don't think Warlamore is going to be a Dragon Rush region, and if it's not, then I'm not really that worried. Like,
No.
VTW, like, what is hard there? Nothing. It's just Karamja.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. And you're solid in Inferno. Like your Inferno runs weren't bad. I don't think you planked Inferno from what I heard. So
No,
yeah, easy peasy, man. Like honestly, I think it definitely was like a skill experience issue in Varlamore PBM that got you. And like in the future, you know, hey, if I'm in this region, I got to just practice the shit a week or two. I dead ass, bro. I ran like I must have run like 30 Coliseums or attempts or something like before leagues just to make sure I didn't like fucking troll and I ended up like stacks and move for D-stack and
if you
yada
had
yada.
slept more, Maz, that it wouldn't have been like that was kind of my thinking was I'm curious how much everyone slept. I think I did probably 3-hour blocks on average each night, and I think that the PVM was a lot more doable because of the sleep. And I'm wondering if you because you did your 30-minute. Did you guys who did 30-minute timers?
Not me.
I did it.
Maz did it. I think Maz was the only one.
No,
Greg,
I
I
think
think
as
Greg
Oh, you did it as
for-
well. Oh, you're a demon.
Yeah.
You're a demon, Greg. No wonder you fish at 4 a.m. Jesus Christ. The PBM stuff I'd sleep. That was actually one of my brick walls. I actually lost 2 hours to the 666 Jad challenge. I have bad ADD if you haven't figured that out at this point, and I don't do good without sleep. This was like I was doing threes as well, Costef, but like I just didn't sleep that well the third night. Like it wasn't like a good 3-hour rest. Like I ended up waking up once in the middle of it, and like after the second time I was like, all right, I just need to get back to grinding. And I was really having a hard time focusing. I kept losing the Jads in cycle, and there's no tick clearance. Like the second you lose it, you're just like fucked.
Yeah.
And so I was like brick walled there for like 2 hours the next day, like just bashing my head against the wall and dying a bunch. I have a lot of death. I would say that like a majority of my deaths in the league were to the 666 Jads. And if I went through my death folder, I could probably confirm that it's like at least 80% of them. That being said, I slept I ended up saying I have to tank 6-hour rest and actually get some sleep. I legitimately felt tired by the third day. It was like, no, I really need to sleep. And then I woke up the next morning and one and done it. I slept for 6 hours on the last day before I pushed to Dragon and finished, and I one and done it like the second I went back to it on 6 hours of rest. So, like, for me, it mattered a lot.
Crazy.
But I know I'm going to defer to Greg here, because I know talking with Greg privately, he had other opinions on sleep. So, Greg, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know. Every league previous to this one, I always slept like 5 hours a night. So like I've never been used to the low sleep, but I learned this league that I function pretty much 100% on low sleep. Like doing like the 30-minute timer things. I woke up and did the 6 Jad thing or 18 Jad or whatever it is in 2 tries. Like I sound like I'm just tooting my own horn here. I'm sorry, but like I learned that about myself in this one, and I feel 100% confident that I could do this low sleep thing every time and still just lean into that PVM every single time. I think I'm chilling there.
You know how much I say it. Greg is a talented player.
I made the mistake of doing it at 54 hours in, and then I kept doing it, and then I ended up doing the league challenge, but I slept and I did like for some reason when I woke up again, I didn't do the 6 Jat, the 18 Jat challenge right away. I waited till 30 hours in again to try it, and that took a while. But then on Teleblock, the last time I had done it was on Maz. Then I tried it on Teleblock, like a normal day, full sleep. I was like, I'll just do it and see how long it takes for me to get it. I did 75 Jazz the first try, and I was like, okay, maybe I should should factor in sleep a bit more.
You're gonna save a lot of time in the future ones, knowing that for sure.
Yeah. And even if you're doing little sleep, right? I think that doing it fresh when you wake up like makes a big difference, right? I think I'm gonna try to be more intentional about that.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna have to go, Rod, but we're gonna do a part 2, or I'll be around tonight. Oh no, we're doing Toas tonight, right?
Yeah, we'll do Toas tonight, I think. Maybe we do a part 2 next week and do some, I think, because like
Okay.
Greg is not available tonight from what I remember. Greg, you can confirm that, but I think you said you were off after like 6 p.m. or something. So we could definitely, I can run TOA with you guys this weekend. I definitely down to get together like next weekend and do like a part 2 if we want to like cover all the other, because I think we still need, well, the only thing that we really have left is like regrets and what we'd have to change. So maybe Costef, before you hop out the door, is there anything that you regret about your route that you'd want to change?
Yeah, I think Greg had the play. I think if I had actually looked at the packs and thought through, I never considered Tyrannwyn second. I probably would have come to the same conclusion that he did if I actually looked at it. I think tunneling on the Thams was kind of impactful. It was as good as advertised in the wilderness, but I think that putting all of your eggs in a basket that's very RNG, and I think I went about average. I probably went like 600 or 700 revs for it. But they weren't particularly fast to kill with whip beforehand.
Right, like I got 200 kills an hour doing it with Turbo Trident of Doom from Shadow Flame or whatever it's called.
I think I did end up getting Trident to do it with the Kraken Trident. But I think the biggest regret was probably I didn't same thing as Maz. Like I didn't really play main game for like several months. I played DMM, but there were some things like in DMM I did 100 Awakened Bard and I won and done Awakened Bard on leagues, which was actually super helpful. So it clearly makes a difference if you play like a lot of main game ahead of time. And I just didn't. Like I don't think I logged in for like 6 weeks before the league.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. If you gotta go, we'll catch you later, Costef. Appreciate you hopping on, man.
All right, I'll catch you guys later.
Catch you later.
Yep.
Greg, I'm gonna be honest. You're gonna flame me for this, bro. I did not practice Awakened Bard Orvis. I actually died once. When I was flicking during the Enrage, I accidentally, like, I was doing the range mage plus move into melee flick, and I misclicked the tile to move and ran like onto like the wrong tile and got clipped by the axe for a 96 and fell over.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, that's unlucky.
Yep.
I immediately cleared it the following attempt, so I was not tilted. I was like, yeah, that's just a mistake that happens. I know I misclick sometimes. I'm not going to let it bother me, and I just went back and cleared it the next try.
Bro, I died once on Awakened Ward, I think, but I died 7 times on the Axe Challenge, bro, until Nubarini gave me the fucking water attack, and I just fucking did that, and it worked.
Oh, did you use AFK in the center with water spells?
Yeah,
That's funny
once
as
you told
hell.
me that, I was like, okay, that's.
I did the main game strat for that one. I just brought 16 brews and like dodged as many of the. I made sure I didn't get hit by triple axe at any point. If I was taking an axe, it was just one in a corner, and I went and done that. All the CAs were. I would say I think maybe looking back, I think I died randomly once doing bees to like a misclick in one of the waves. But I don't think other than that, I had an issue where I somehow with like 36 prayer bonus lost a prayer point in the fight caves on wave 52, like while like lazy flicking the entire thing. I genuinely was like after that run, I got pissed and I did the trick where because like I think my prayer had run down, but like there's like a timer in the background that like keeps track of how long the ticks of the prayer have been active, so it tracks when to do the draining. And the way that one tick flicking works essentially tricks the server into not seeing your prayer activated. And so you know, I guess like you can clear this queue by recharging your prayer in an altar. It like fully resets that tick timer, and I hadn't done that because like I'm just running around with infinite prayers and air mage. Who gives a shit, right? You never think about this. So when I failed it, I think it's because I was just super close to the timer and just had it on for like maybe 1 or 2 game ticks like during the run and just lost it. And so I went back with the altar thing and went and done that task as well. But like, yeah, the CAs were not terribly difficult this time around. Obviously, I think we all skipped Doom CAs. Nobody did Doom CAs, right? Greg, you didn't do that shit.
No.
No,
Way
I tried
too
doing
long.
it without brews, and it was just a pain in the ass.
No, it was way too long.
Talking about regrets, I did waste about an hour trying that one. So,
did you do the melee? The one-handed melee without Demon Main is actually just fucking memeing, bro.
yeah, it was pissing me off. But on the topic of Awakened Bard, it's kind of funny. Like in the main game, I mean, I play it all the time, but I have Butch as my last pet, the Bard pet, and I've kept all of my orbs on my Iron Man, up till that point, so I had like 250 orbs, and right before leagues, I was just sending Awakened Bard every day. I have like 150 Awakened Bard KC, so
Holy.
that was,
I remember
that
that.
was
Yeah, you sent me a screenshot with 100 KC, and I'm like, this guy is locked in. He's grokked in. I'm not gonna win this shit, man.
yeah, that's I guess. I
Bro,
mean,
I'm
everyone's got
calling
their
your boss
niches
next
to
year and
league.
telling him to drop a fat project on you during league's release, bro. We're not doing this again.
I think I'm doing it every time. Like 3 days off work is easy to manage. So.
You see it though, right? This is so much more fun than capping in my. Actually, all right. So
Well, I don't agree with that. But
all right. Okay, yeah. I want to ask you for your opinion. I want to ask Mazhar specifically, since he caps all the time, and you did this for the first time this year. Like, what was your opinion on the race itself?
The race is more skillful PVM wise, but the cap is like more mentally fucking draining over a long period of time. And then the cap RNG matters way more in the cap. Like it just you just lose if you go too dry.
I said the same thing this morning. Like I think that like if you go like if you get RNG checked at too many places, like you're out of the running for rank 1 cap. Where like that's a lot. There's a lot less like obviously you can get RNG checked. I think the major RNG checks for our run were really like enhanced seed, which you failed unfortunately, revs, which you also failed unfortunately. And I think, like, other than that, it was, like, how fast you were able to complete ecothermia and get your build online. And other than that, there weren't really, like, a ton of...
Which I also failed.
Failed.
Indirectly.
Yeah. But so, like, I don't think there were, like, a ton of RNG checks specifically in our run whereas, like, you can get RNG... Like, I mean, look at what's happening with all the random event people right now, right? Like, I feel terrible for Tom. He should be rank 3, but he's getting RNG checked by literally random events, bro. Like, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
Like
I agree. RNG is not as big. Like, the... Rev is probably like 4 hours ish, or like more than that actually. I guess it's a lot now that I think about it. Hold on, but the fucking like enhanced. I lost 2 hours there compared to somebody that got it within like 50 KC. You know, it's like whatever.
Yeah, like in Dragon Rush, it matters a lot less. Like if you go dry at like raids, for example, like you're losing like 10, 15 hours, like JCW did probably, right? Like. But if you go dry on enhanced, you're losing what, like 2-3 hours maybe at best, and it matters because it's at scale, right? Like there's a lot more hours involved in capping than there is in Dragon, so like going dry doesn't matter. I'm not gonna say it's irrelevant, but it matters. I'd say like less than it does for cap. And I do agree with you that like cap is definitely like a like Dragon Race is a sprint and cap is a marathon. Like there's definitely a skill set involved, right?
I averaged I think over 22 hours last time over 3 weeks, and I still lost. And the guy who won, I think, averaged like 20. You know, it's just... It makes sense, though. If it's like, if I lost 40 hours of RNG over 20 days, 2 hours a day of extra sleep, there's something you can do.
Yeah, and like at some point like this, the sleep does affect your efficiency. Like at some point you're just kind of like, you know, you're like randomly falling over, or you're like forgetting what you're doing and stuff. Like that caught me a couple of times. I definitely went back to the bank at least 20 times
because you can just sit at a place forever.
Like, yeah, that's true. I definitely caught myself like 20 times going back to the bank and being like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here again?
Yeah, but like again, that doesn't matter as much in cap. Like if I have to do 300 Strachness, I'm clicking one time when it respawns, so that's it. Like I don't have to put my brain on for anything else.
Yeah,
it's like that's why I feel like I do a lot better relatively for cap, because it's like, oh, if I'm feeling like brain dead at a moment, you know what I'm gonna do? Day one, if I felt like 40 hours in, I'm just not playing well, I'm gonna go click 500 monkey laps real quick, like because why not?
Yeah, like I think because cap sort of affords you the ability, since you do need to do everything, that once you're at that exhaustion point,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you just go brain off. But like with the cup run, like there weren't really a lot of brain off things you could do aside from like thieve the elf and like maybe do some EH training and like take a quick power nap or some shit. Like
yeah,
there wasn't a whole lot to do in that regard. And like for the PVM, like you couldn't just like in theory, if you wanted to get an edge, like you wanted to air spell as much as possible. You didn't want to be in like a water build, thorns build, AFKing stuff. You wanted to be like, especially on single target, you want to be like air mage and shit as much as you could. I don't know. It's just kind of it's definitely like a different skill set. I agree with, and I think it's really interesting because like, especially this year, like usually cappers have to follow the same formula. This year, all the cappers kind of had an ability to go different places, and like Nuppy, for example, I think she's like top 10. And she's on like Desert for this year. And she's like one of the only top 10 players on Desert right now.
Yeah, but that's just like on average RNG. Like the reason they went Desert is because they didn't want to get RNG checked at Zaya. And the thing is, when there's like 30 people going for it, there's going to be like 5 people that don't get RNG checked, and they just win. That's what happened.
Yeah, I thought that was a big misplay on Desert.
Yeah, I think
Playing to win at least.
I think Wolfie's feeling the pain. He keeps sending me a lot of screenshots of himself at Leviathan.
You
But
just gotta play to get lucky and then hope you don't get RNG checked. But that's literally the only way you could get rank 1. Otherwise, you're just getting for top 10. In which case, if you want like top 10, then maybe that desert works. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do think like Violinian passed a bunch of the RNG checks from what I understand, and like because he went like 47 to complete chambers, which is like insanely lucky from what I heard.
I think he only failed Yama. He went to like 250 or something. I think that's the only thing he failed.
Yeah, and inevitably at some point like your luck's gonna run out, and you're gonna have like one place where like you're just gonna get like screwed. And I think like a lot of people thought that place may have been both Raids and Virtus are definitely like ones that you hear a lot about and see people posting logs and cry like they got like 5 masts and 3 road bottoms and that's it. You know, like they're still grinding Vardorvis and stuff like that. So like I think part of it to your point was they were trying to protect themselves, but like grinds like Leviathan and Tower are also just long grinds to do. So like it kind of does slow you down a little bit.
I mean, Leviathan's not a grind because if you go over 300 for each, it's not. It's actually like in 0 time.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like in the end, it's your how long you're at these bosses is just tied to how quickly you end up getting the drop, right? Like it's ultimately what
Yeah.
it
So
comes down
DC
to.
toothers are tied, so I feel like that doesn't add anything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, that's fair. I think having a second raid definitely matters. So like even though they lowered the KC requirements and stuff, still having to do raids takes time. Like it's.
Imagine if they just make raids not a global. Like if we could just drag rush into fucking cup rush, but then you would lose on abundance. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I also think it would be kind of feels bad to not give players like fat points for getting like the rarest drops in the game. It would feel kind of cheap to remove that, I think. So.
Also, I checked my debts. I logged in. 20 debts on Coliseum, and I'm pretty sure they were all late wave. 82 debts on the Infinite Jad, and 33 debts on the League Only Challenge, which pisses me off because the first try, I went to the League Challenge. I got it down to 2 Jads. All the ads were dead, and I just fucking clicked on the pile, and the Jad just one hit me. I stepped on the thingy and turned off my prayer, and then I died 33 more times apparently.
Nice.
I definitely got fried in CG a handful of times when I was like sleepwalking through it, but yeah, I'm looking through my folder and like I had like a couple of like goofball deaths when I was doing CAs from exhaustion. I had some my first death was to Huey when I ran out of food at the mask because the kill was so slow that I died. My second death was learning Echo and Moxliaddle and getting it to the enrage phase and not understanding what the mechanic was, so I was like running instead of one tiling it and I got fucking fried. I was one of the first people there, and I was looking around on Twitch and saw that there was like no, there was nobody doing this shit live, and I was like, okay, I just have to figure it out on my own. So I died. It looks like twice to Echo Moxliaddle, and then I died to Echo
I died
Thermi.
10 times to Mox, but it was because of lag. Because I had so the way I have my editing set up is I upload all my recordings to Dropbox, and every single time I was uploading, it shot my ping up to 1,000 something.
Oh, I remember hearing you say
like
that.
10 times the Mox of it.
I think Cold One has the same problem as well. Yeah. I had 1 death to CG before I got my freaking. Oh no, I had 2 deaths to CG. I went in praying. I was praying ranged against a magic attack in one of them, and I took a 51 to the face. That seems like definitely a rod maneuver. And then I got. It looks like I lagged and got hit by 4 tornadoes. I don't even remember what the hell happened here, but I got stacked out at tornadoes with Hunlif at... Oh, no, Hunlif was 20 HP, and I thought I killed it, and I didn't, and I got fried by the tornadoes because I stopped moving. So I died twice to CG because of that. I have a couple of Echo deaths, but those matter a lot less when the KC is like 30 seconds, bro.
You're putting out 1 or 2 deaths, bro. I want to make it clear. I've died so many times. I legit think I would have beat Oscar if I did not die a single time. Like it was that bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm looking at my deaths folder. I have like 2 random CG deaths. I had that random Huey death. I died once learning Echo Thermi because I didn't know the mechanics. I died like randomly in CG and Echo CG a handful of times. But then, I mean, my entire death folder after that, bro, is literally my fucking. I have like 1 or 2 deaths at like late Delve Doom where I like just like didn't heal up enough and I like fucked up and made a mistake and died. Died like 13 or 14 a couple of times, but like literally 90% of the deaths I'm looking at in this folder are like the fucking Jad challenge, bro. It's actually insane. All my deaths are there, bro. I brickwalled that super fucking hard. Yikes. But yeah, man, I mean, you learn the lesson, though. Like, you know what you have to, like, you know in the future that, like, hey, if you're doing this again, you're going to practice PVM those regions. So I think it's going to be a lot less of an issue for you going forward.
Yeah, I think I'm used to cap not being that much of a skill check because you just, like, all my deaths when I'm capping usually are just during raids, and it's like, who the fuck cares? Like, the raid's going to finish at the same time.
You're still going to get a purple, like...
Yeah, so yeah. It didn't matter.
Yeah. That's very true. I don't know, Greg. You capped previously in the past, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on the differences between these two formats, and like how you feel about those or what you prefer.
No, I didn't really see the argument in that it's like a lot more skillful to do dragon, because like I think anyone can just park themselves at an AFK spot and just like make a list of things to do. Like that's all I really did. I mean, it did the same thing for capping too. It's just whenever I got some downtime to AFK, I just make a list of stuff to do. So it's just
I'm
the
at
same
PBM
process.
skillful.
PVM skillful. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, like there was definitely like a skill diff, and I mean me personally too. Like I mean, you said you
I
cleared
think
the
we all
jab
end up
thing
doing
in
the same
2 tries,
tasks.
and I burned like 2 hours there. Not that we were different by 2 hours. I don't think that would have really made the significant difference. Like me sleeping a lot was also like a pretty big detriment. So,
I didn't see much of a difference between the two, really. Just the same process. One was just shorter.
yeah, I like that it's shorter personally. I'm also just not a big fan of doing 50 mil all skills and doing a lot of like the crap that capping forces you to do.
It is very easy to say that just looking at it from an outside perspective. It's a little different when you're going for it, though. Like, if you're locked into it and you're like, ah, damn, I don't really want to do like 10,000 bowstrings or whatever. I mean, saying that not playing is like, yeah, hell no, I'm not doing that. But you know, you get a little more motivated if you're racing for it.
I feel like if you're racing and you're pushing close, like you can kind of look past some of that stuff and you tank some of the shitty grinds because like at least like I don't know, like I wouldn't mind doing 1,000 Vardorvas just because I just enjoy doing the boss, but like I don't know, I think you kind of touched on it, Greg. At least for me, like the big thing is if you want to place high in capping, you have to sacrifice a lot of time for a pretty prolonged period, in my opinion. Like if you gotta be playing like 16 plus hours a day for like at least
16.
yeah, and you're laughing at me.
That's just
Exactly.
numbers, man.
You're
Yeah, like, it's
delusional
rookie
if you think the
numbers.
people
Like,
at Capping
even
are
that's not
playing
enough.
16.
That's not enough. That's what I mean. Like,
Man,
how many
20
people?
is not enough, bro. 20 is not enough.
20 is exactly. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not willing personally to make a commitment to playing the game 21 hours a day for 2+ weeks. I'm just simply not willing to budge on that. But like, respect to the players who do it. No disrespect. I just can never see myself doing that personally. That's why I prefer the Dragon Rush, because I know that it's a much more finite period of time. I know I can skip all the stuff I'm typically not going to enjoy. So like those are at least from my perspective is why I prefer the Dragon race over capping. But again, I respect the players a lot and I have interest in the race. Obviously, I wouldn't have made my ult if I didn't want to help the players in the race.
I agree. My life circumstances have changed quite a bit since I last went for cap. Like with my work situation, I've been promoted a few too many times. I can't like do nothing anymore. Like that was the case for Shattered Relics and what was the second one? Trailblazer Reloaded. Like I was just like an alt for my company. Like I was just kind of sit there and like send a couple emails, but I definitely cannot get away with this 2-week thing anymore. It's just not doable. And that goes for most people too. I'm sure they can relate to that.
Yeah, I think the Dragon Rush life is definitely better suited to people to take, you know, like a couple of days from work and then go back to being a normal human being.
Yeah, that felt
So
great.
normally I'd have to balance work before with it and dealing with daily meetings at least, because I used to do a lot of my work up front. So it wasn't that big of an issue, and my team is very hands off. But first of all, like work is a lot more intense now, especially since it's like fucking affected by AI. So a week's work of work is now like a month's worth of work. Like other way around, you know what I mean? So I can't spend too long on a feature that because it shit just gets done faster. So I can't really bullshit my way through work as much either. So I have to.
Yeah.
Like with Dragon, I just took PTO, so I was just off for all of it. I took PTO for a week, and I only needed like 3 days of the PTO, so I know that for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting lessons to learn. I actually I had cleared my schedule for Monday and finished on Sunday, and I was like, oh wow, I can just like sleep and like clean my house. This is kind of nice.
I do now know that I don't think Dragon rushing is going to become slower because this was 65k points. I think it might be a little slower because the XP rates were kind of fucked, maybe like 5 hours longer.
Mhm.
But I think that considering on the second day I still was up another 15 hours before I could fall asleep, I think I could 2-set shit every time. So
Yeah, I think you
That's
could.
good to know.
Especially, I mean, I think there's like, I want to save some of the topics and kind of wrap up a little bit because I want to include Costef and Oscar in the next discussion. But next time I do want to talk a little bit about the EXP multipliers and like how long it would have taken, some of that stuff, because we didn't really touch on the bugs too much. We brought it up in passing, but I want to spend more time focusing on some of those things for next time. And then just seeing like how that would have affected some of our routing and stuff like that, or what had changed.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, but no, I appreciate you guys taking time out on a Saturday, for sure. This was a lot of fun, and I think we can do it again if you guys are interested. I think there's definitely more topics for us to dig up and uncover, and I like learning, so I hope everybody listening likes learning as well. Yeah, we'll chat offline, and we'll see if we can do a second episode sometime next weekend or something.
All right.
Sure.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate your time again. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk again soon.
We'll see you.
Thank you for broadcasting. Excellent. Well, we're going to hang out here for a little bit, guys, and say hello to you, the lovely people in the chat. I know I was neglecting all of you. Obviously, I don't really want to read the chat while I'm talking to people. It'd be kind of rude. So, and my goal for this was to mostly moderate the conversation and let, Greg and Costef and Maz kind of give their perspectives and opinions, because I yap too much. I talk a lot, so I'm cognizant of this. I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday, so I did want to give those guys opportunities to speak and share their points of view and really to learn from them, because we haven't really had these conversations. This conversation was completely raw outside of like 5 bullet points that Costef briefly and